bottom of the river.
Check the cover for your daddy's gun.
Red sun rises like an early warning.
The Lord's gonna come for your firstborn son.
Stands on fire and his heart is burning.
So go to the river where the waters run.
Wash him deep where the tides are turning.
And if you fall, if you fall.
And let me start by saying this story takes place in 1969. And in a place where till this day, race relations still are kind of strained. Mississippi. Now this story is not an indictment of any race or people. It's just what happened. When I was a child, I remember people saying my grandmother was into hoodoo. But as a kid, you really don't understand those things. I remember seeing her laundry room lit with candles and various herbs, but I never thought anything about it. Grandma was cool. It was not until I became a teenager that I realized exactly how powerful she was. Picture this. We had just left church. Grandpa had a 1968 Chevy Caprice sedan. And to get from church to my grandparents' house, you had to drive through the white section of town. So we're riding and we get to this stoplight. We're sitting there, Grandma and Grandpa are talking, and bam, we get hit from behind. Grandpa hops out of the car and takes a look, and basically the rear bumper of his brand new car has this monster-sized dent. Now I'm looking through the back window when I see these two white teenagers jump out of their pickup truck and start going crazy. Nigga, we ain't paying for your bumper. Get your black ass out of our area of town. I need you to understand something. Grandpa worked for the railroad. He was strong. I mean like bull strong. But at that time, he was in his 50s. He said, son, calm down. We can work this out. That's when one of these kids grabs a bat out of the truck and comes charging for Grandpa. Before I can get out of the car to help, Grandpa done knocked one of them out, taking a bat from the other one and starts beating the shit out of his legs. This happened so fast, the next thing I know, we're flying home. And within 30 minutes, it seemed like the entire neighborhood knew what happened and was at Grandpa's house. People were talking in hushed tones about what my grandmother would do. Then the sheriff shows up. He wanted to arrest my grandpa, but the entire neighborhood was outside. And he promised he would come back to get him. And indeed, he came back with 10 officers, and they arrest my grandfather. As they walk him to the car, my grandmother told the sheriff, now you know them boys was wrong. Look at this dent in this car. His words were, I know, but some things, Miss May, are just out of my hand. All I can do is make sure that he's safe, but you see to it that y'all get the $1,200 that we're going to need to bail him out, and bail him out quickly. Within 1 hour, the entire neighborhood pitched the money in together. Grandpa was bailed out, and the sheriff drops him off at home. I still remember the sheriff walking up to the porch, my grandma sitting there with a Bible in her hand reading, and him saying, I'm sorry, but one of them boys was the mayor's son. There wasn't much I can do, Miss May. Grandma just looked up for a brief second and said, I know who they are, and I don't hold you accountable. The sheriff looked relieved. He motioned his hands and said, I know you're gonna. But Grandma looked up from the Bible, cutting her eyes. And that look made him fall silent, and he slowly backed down the porch. That night, Grandma told me she needed some help. She asked me to come into the yard, handed me a shovel, and told me to dig 2 holes. She wanted them 4 feet deep by 1 foot wide. After I was done, she told me to go back in the house and she would call me when she needed me again. About an hour passed and I look out the window and I see this flame, this bright flame. It looked like it was floating in the air. Then she calls me outside again and I'm told to cover the holes. The strange thing was she didn't want me to use the shovel. This time she wanted me to use my hands. Now when I dug that dirt up, it was dry, but as I put it back into the hole, it was moist and wet, almost like mud, but it hadn't rained outside at all. She specifically told me not to touch what was in the bottom of the hole. Then she stood on the dirt and started reading her Bible. 2 days pass, and we're sitting on the porch when a man pulls up in the driveway. A white man. It's the mayor. He gets out and walks up with this confident swagger, suit and tie on. He walks across the grass up to the step and motions like he's going to come running up the porch. Grandma just looks at him and says, "I wouldn't do that if I were you. How can I help you?" The mayor says, "My boy can't talk. He done gone mute. What did you do to my boy?" She looks up at him and says, "I've done nothing to your boy. It's what the Lord did to him for his evil ways. And you should do better."
To hear the rest
raising
of this
your
story,
children.
click the link
That's
in
when
the
mayor corrects her
description.
and says,
It's
"If you
free
don't
and a
fix what's
promo
me
for
and my boy,
Dogman Weekend
I'm gonna make your life a living
2019.
hell."
As you are well aware, YouTube is censoring and demonetizing creators left and right. Dark Waters needs your help reaching you. What do you need to do? Great question. Click the link in the description, submit your name and email address, and then listen to the story. It's simple, and don't be lazy. Click the link now.